What's good, Commanders fans? I am your host, Jack Sperry, and this is the Commanders Report. So before we get into today's news and rumors around the Washington Commanders, make sure you click that subscribe button because here at the Commanders Report, we are selling expertise. All right, that's right. If you watch our videos every single day, the one thing that I can promise you is that you will become an expert on the burgundy and gold. What do I mean by that? The kinds of schemes that they like to run on both offense and defense, player profiles on every single starter. You're going to know everything about the Washington Commanders if you click that subscribe button and turn on your notifications and watch our videos every day. We provide too much content here and too much stuff for you guys not to learn something here. So if you love the Commanders and you want to know everything that there is to know heading into the 2023 season, do me a favor and click that subscribe button right now. All right, now let's get into this latest trade rumor from Bleacher Report, where they are suggesting that the Commanders and the Ravens engage in a blockbuster trade here involving Chase Young and Patrick Queen. And I definitely think this is a very interesting topic to discuss. So let's talk a little bit about the type of trade that they see happening here for Chase Young, where Patrick Queen, the inside linebacker, would be heading to the nation's capital along with the fourth-round pick in next year's NFL draft in return for Chase Young. Of course, coming off that big ACL tear he had during the 2021 campaign, missed most of the 2022 season. Now he's coming into this season looking to prove that he is that number one edge rusher that many of us thought that he was coming out of Ohio State back in 2020. So before I let you know what I think about what I would do in this scenario if I were Martin Mayhew, the GM, you be the GM here and let me know in the comments, would you make this trade? Patrick Queen and a fourth rounder in exchange for Chase Young. Type A if you're going to accept, or type D if you're going to decline. This is the pinned comment on today's show. So YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. Take advantage of that time by giving me an A or giving me a D down there in the comments. So why would this make sense for the Baltimore Ravens? So here's why I think the Ravens could potentially even give the Commanders a call and see if Chase Young is available. So they do need a legit number one pass rusher. Now, they do have a couple of young guys that they really do like in those ranks, but Chase Young is a completely different animal than the guys that they currently have, and they could really use someone like Chase Young, especially if they believe in his future. And I won't hesitate to get, or they won't hesitate to give a mid-round draft pick like a fourth rounder or even a third rounder, because plain and simply the Ravens are trying to win a Super Bowl now while they still have Lamar Jackson. We know that he's had issues in the past. He did get that massive extension, so it looks like he's going to be in Baltimore for a while, but they're trying to take advantage of those prime years while Lamar Jackson is still an elite rusher of the football from the quarterback position, and getting a really nice edge rush on the other side of the football could certainly help them in that regard. Now, what about the Washington Commanders? Why would they potentially take a look at this trade and acquire Patrick Queen? You get an up-and-coming player in the middle of your defense there with Patrick Queen. I'm going to be getting into his scouting report here in just a little bit, but it also adds another mid-round draft pick to build for the future. Say the Commanders just aren't that good this year, and Ron Rivera ends up getting fired, and Josh Harris starts new here as the new owner of the Washington Commanders. They bring in somebody new, maybe a new quarterback comes in next year. You know, there's definitely a scenario where the Commanders could really use maybe a late day 2 or early day 3 pick to help build for the future. Fourth rounder might be a little bit low for me personally, but also Washington has some really solid depth at the edge rusher position. They have some really nice pieces there to complement Montez Sweat, right? This was still a pretty decent pass rush last year, despite the fact that Chase Young was out for most of the season, right? You still have Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne wreaking havoc in the middle of the defense. Montez Sweat really established himself as a number one guy. And then Obata, Maxx Williams, those guys are pretty darn good. Casey Tuhill as well. Those guys are very, very capable players in the National Football League. And if they ended up trading Chase Young, I think this pass rush would still be pretty decent if that's what they ended up doing here before the start of the 2023 season. Now, with Chase Young, you look at the rookie stats, and they're very impressive. Defensive Rookie of the Year honors back there in 2020, number 2 overall pick. And, man, the stats really back that up. 7.5 sacks, 13 tackles for loss, and 4 forced fumbles. But then over the last couple of years, right, 12 games played in the last 2 seasons, 2021 through 2022, and the production is just fallen off, right? The start of that 2021 campaign before he tore his ACL just wasn't very good, and then he played in a couple games to finish out last season, and those weren't very productive either. Just 1.5 sacks in those 12 games played. That is not the number one franchise edge rush type of talent that we were expecting to see from Chase Young. And if that knee injury really proves to be a tough go for Chase Young here moving into the future, it's definitely looking like that this trade could potentially be a good deal for the Washington Commanders. If the Commanders know something that we don't, and they know that Chase Young's knee is not where it's supposed to be, getting a guy like Patrick Queen and adding him to this defense there where you already have Jamin Davis and Cody Barton. Cody Barton is kind of more vanilla. He's okay, not great. We're hearing good things about Khaleke Hudson there on the bench. Hopefully he can rise up the ranks here this season. But if you have Jamin Davis and Patrick Queen in the middle of your defense, those are two very athletic, very long, very good players in the middle of your defense, and this could be one of the best defenses in the National Football League. And Patrick Queen, a lot of people don't know this. He's kind of, he was a first-round pick, so people know his name, but the first couple of years wasn't very good, but then last season really came into his own, a 70.0 Pro Football Focus grade. He's always been a gifted athlete and a talented blitzer, but then he added the pass coverage element to his game last year, graded very well as a coverage linebacker, and that's exactly what the Commanders need right now. And the Ravens declined his fifth-year option this offseason. Of course, they've given out some pretty big contracts, including Roquan Smith, who is the number one inside linebacker on their depth chart. So it's certainly looking like they would be willing to let go of Patrick Queen, especially if it means they can get a guy like Chase Young. So coming up here, I'm going to tell you if I would accept this trade. But first, go ahead and go to chatsports.com/commanderscombo, where it's going to take you to the Fanatics website where you can take advantage of this awesome summer t-shirt deal that they got going on right now. You got that burgundy with the Commanders logo, or with the Commanders helmet, I should say. And then what's perfect for summer, I love wearing long sleeve t-shirts, but in the summer, it's really tough. But with white, it's a lot easier. We got an awesome white t-shirt there for you guys. Take advantage of this deal while it still lasts. These things are flying off the shelves. Go to chatsports.com/commanderscombo. The link's right down there. And if you use that link, Fanatics will know that we sent you. All right, so for me, it's not an egregious offer. Patrick Queen would be a nice piece to add. It'd be nice to have another mid-round pick, but I am not going to accept this offer. I'm going to decline, all right, because I want to bank on the upside of a Chase Young, who was taken number 2 overall in the NFL draft a couple years ago for a reason. This guy could be an absolute superstar for the Commanders moving forward. And with Daron Payne, Jonathan Allen, and Montez Sweat already on the defensive line, this could be the best pass rush in the National Football League in 2023 if Chase Young lives up to the hype. Now, he needs to work on having more of a plan as a pass rusher. He's usually he's very used to being able to just convert speed to power and then just bullying people. You can't really do that in the National Football League. He was able to get away with it at Ohio State. He actually got away with it quite a bit his rookie season. But as 2021 and 2022 showed, he can't get away with that anymore, and he has to show that he can implement some of these other moves, whether it's a rip move, it could be something else, it could be a sidestep, it could be whatever he wants to implement, but he needs to implement some finesse to his game if he wants to be a true number 1 edge rusher, and I'm excited to see if he can implement that here in 2023. On to the next rumor today, which is that Pro Football Focus has linked free agent tight end Maxx Williams to the Commanders. We've been talking about potentially trading for a guy like Zach Ertz. We've talked about adding a bunch of different types of stuff. Even going back to the draft, Dalton Kincaid was among my top draft targets for the Commanders. And right now you're stuck with Logan Thomas and Cole Turner, a bunch of either unproven or uninspiring tight end guys in your tight end room. And Maxx Williams, I think, would just be another guy like that. All right, just 3 receptions for 18 yards last year. Hasn't really been an impact player in the National Football League throughout his career. And right now, I think Logan Thomas is better than Maxx Williams. Okay, if I want to make a move here for a tight end, I want somebody that's going to be an improvement, somebody that's going to be an upgrade here before the start of training camp. So personally, if you're going to make a move for a tight end, you might as well go all in here and make a trade for the Cardinals' tight end, Zach Ertz. Okay, so we've talked about on the show Zach Ertz, why it makes sense for the Commanders to make a deal like that. You can get him for a cheaper price. Commanders are looking for draft picks. Ertz is an older tight end, probably doesn't want to be playing for a rebuilding team. And Zach Ertz is still, in my opinion, one of the best red zone threat receiving type tight ends in the National Football League. And he's been slept on the last couple of years because he's been on some bad football teams and he's had some bad quarterback play. But I think that Zach Ertz with Sam Howell, with Jacoby Brissett, with inside Eric Bieniemy's offense, I think he could be awesome. He's not going to be the type of guy Travis Kelce was there in Kansas City for EB this year, or last year, I should say, or many years prior. But I'm looking at Zach Ertz, and I see somebody that can still get open, still a very good route runner, very secure hands. And I think he could be a big-time element in this offense. And it'll allow EB to open up that playbook. And it's probably only going to cost you like maybe a 5th-round, 6th-round pick at the most. So let me know what you guys would do down in the comments section. Would you rather sign Maxx Williams in free agency? Give me an MW if you want him. Would you rather trade for Zach Ertz and agree with me? Type ZE down there. Or if you don't want to do anything and you think the tight end room is good to go here for 2023, give me a DA down there in the comment section. So now the final rumor that I want to go over today is, who does Sam Howell, the new starting quarterback for the Washington Commanders, compare to some of the other quarterbacks in the National Football League? Which guys can you really compare his game to? So my scouting report on Howell to this point, he actually has a really strong arm, very underrated arm. He's a plus runner, and I think that's probably the more underrated aspects of his game. People kind of see him as more of a pocket quarterback. No, at North Carolina, he was an excellent runner, showed some good things last year with the Commanders as well. I think he could be a real weapon on the ground. I think EB is going to use him that way as well. He's got some great deep ball touch on his deep balls. Really do like that. And then I love the personality, right? He is a leader. He's the type of guy that guys rally around. That's the stuff that I really love about Sam Howell. But the cons, you have to acknowledge them. Okay, the throwing mechanics in the past are very herky-jerky. They're not rotational. It's a big-time push motion, which really leads to accuracy inconsistency. Footwork issues led to some consistency issues as well. And then the pocket presence, to me, needs to improve as well. I really like quarterbacks that can move in the pocket and adjust to pressure as opposed to simply trying to just take off and run. That is the type of player that Sam Howell is right now. Hopefully he can improve some of those cons this year. And then if he does that, he has a real shot to break out here in 2023. So some of the quarterbacks that people compare Sam Howell to, the big one is Baker Mayfield, right? Similar build, kind of a chunkier, smaller type of quarterback. Now, Howell is about 6 foot tall, so it's not a big issue, his height, but I think that it's something to keep in mind. Baker Mayfield might not be the most flattering comparison because right now he is on the brink of losing his starting position here to Kyle Trask in Tampa Bay. So that's not a great one, but I definitely see the comparisons in their game. They both have good arms, both have decent deep ball touch, and they're both pretty good in play action. So I think that's actually a pretty decent comp. And then another one I've seen thrown around, at least in the last couple of weeks, is Dak Prescott. Now, I think that the pocket presence issues is what connects these two players, but I think Sam's got a better arm. I think he's faster than Dak. Prescott's definitely more advanced in the mental side of the game, the mental process and getting through his reads quicker and more efficiently at this point. Of course, he's a veteran, but I can definitely see the comparisons there as well. Another one that's really intriguing to me is Jalen Hurts. Now, of course, Sam Howell is not going to be Jalen Hurts probably this year, all right? I think Jalen and Sam are actually pretty darn close in the run game department. I think Hurts is a little bit faster, but I put them roughly in the same category. They both have great touch on their deep balls, both have pretty darn good arms. Both of them were kind of slept on coming out of college, and I think that's actually a really, really good comparison. A bit chunkier guys as well. I think Jalen Hurts is actually a really good comparison for Sam Howell here going into his career. And then Russell Wilson is another decent comparison as well. Again, a little bit shorter, a bit meatier, good deep ball touch on their deep balls. I think that's another one that you can compare him to. This is probably a higher end comparison for Sam Howell. I'm not sure if he's quite as good of an improviser as Russell, especially in his prime was, but I think that's a decent one as well. And then another unflattering one here is Derek Carr, the New Orleans Saints quarterback. And I think that you can make that connection based on the deep ball stuff, the accuracy, the arm strength, and then also the pocket presence, right? Sam Howell likes to take off and run. Derek Carr likes to take off and throw the ball away. which is definitely not good for efficient quarterback play. So I would really, if I'd have to pick one of these guys to compare Sam Howell to, I would actually probably go Jalen Hurts, which might be a good one for Commanders fans to hear out there. I'm not sure if he's ever going to hit that peak. I'm not sure if the Commanders will ever get the kind of weapons that the Eagles currently surround Hurts with, but I think that's an interesting thought. So let me know what you guys think about Sam Howell and which NFL quarterback right now that you would compare him to. I want to hear your guys' answers down in the comments section. And before I go, I do have a little bit of news. I was off on vacation last week, so I wasn't able to report this when the news broke, but former Commander center Chase Roullier, somebody that was released by the Commanders this offseason, is retiring at the age of 29. He's dealt with injuries, all these different sorts of things, which led to his release. We do wish Chase the best of luck in retirement, and if you want to show your appreciation to Mr. Roullier, go ahead and type 73 down in the comments section to thank him for his service here to Washington football. That'll be it for me today. Guys, go ahead and go to Twitter if you want some Commanders content here extra outside of the channel here. I have a dedicated Commanders page on Twitter. It's at Sperry_Hogs. All right, so go there, follow me. I'll give you a follow back if you do so. Really do appreciate all the support. I will see you guys tomorrow, and as always, hail to the Commanders.